So my album Haven just came out, and the response so far has been fantastic. Thanks. Unfortunately, I have no idea how to get the algorithm to work in my favor, but that's a topic for another video. So if you want to make dubstep in LMMS, your best friend is going to be ZinAdd_SubFX. I'm not going to go into too much detail on the sound design behind it because I already did that in another video. I'll link it down below for you. All of these sounds that I'm playing for you were made from scratch in ZinAdd_SubFX. Drop a comment if you want me to release them in a preset pack. All of the dubstep growls and stuff in this track originate from a tone at E1, or 41.2 Hz. I use frequency modulation, this function over here, to create the notes that you actually hear. The general rule is that this oscillator here produces the grit, and this one produces the note you hear in the final product. All of this is fine and dandy until this gets involved. If your computer is much of a potato, you'll want to bounce these all down to WAV files so you don't end up with this in your project. So once you have all your dubstep smackaroos made, it's time to figure out the rest of your song. I'll go through it in steps because it makes it easier for you to understand and easier for my dumb ass to explain. Step 1 is going to be your intro. I'm not going to explain this one because it's the first track in the album, so it's f***ing long and I'm kind of on a time limit here. I'll start with the hook over here. It has all the main elements of the track in it, the big arpeggio that's on top of literally everything in the track. It's got a gritty low-pass bass for the ambiance. And it has a whole bunch of intertwining vocal harmonies because it's me and that's my solution to not being perfectly on pitch all the time. Actually, I'm pretty much never perfectly on pitch.
I always hope it's not another one. When the sky turns black and I feel like falling down.
Then you'll work on your breakdown and build up. In tracks like this, I like to set the mood with the intro, break the tension for a few bars, and then start the build up. Here I just recorded some guitar and some chill vocals just to ease the listener into the build up a bit easier.
But there's nothing left to lose. You always see right through, but I'm still lying here trying to forget about you.
The build-up is honestly still a mystery to me. It kind of depends on what kind of drop you want, but generally you want to think of it as a line going from the bottom left to the top right of a page. The general rule is that if you want to have your drop hit hard, you want the line to either progress slowly at the beginning and ramp up towards the end, or have it start high, build a bit, and then go down towards the end of the build-up. An easy way of doing this is to progressively clamp a low-pass filter down on the build-up as it goes. However, for this track I went for the former approach and it kind of looks like this. Then you'll want to work on your vocals. Like I said earlier, if you're not perfectly on pitch all the time or have a good auto-tune plugin, you can hide it by harmonizing over yourself a million times. That'll essentially create a false chorus effect where they all kind of average out to the right pitch.
But my castle stands with broken walls and a king that's all but gone.
If you aren't the vocalist and someone else is singing, you can either use a vocoder and go for a robotic effect or just buy a waves tune or something similar. You'll want to use the vocals to either push or pull the song if that makes sense. They're kind of just a tool to add meaning and add tension to your track. They can also add a bunch of interesting mid-range frequency content, so whenever you have a lot of vocal harmonies, go easy on the synth chords. Then it's time for the drop. This is the part where you assault the listener's ears with all the frequency modulation we did earlier. Keep the drums simple. The only purpose of the drums in this type of drop is to keep the beat and smack hard. Hi-hats? Never heard of her. All you need is a fat kick and a fat snare and reverb tails. Reverb tails are arguably the best way to keep your drop moving along where there would normally just be blank space. They're especially useful to clean up your off sections where there would be normally filled with muddy, disgusting reverb tails. After you're done that, add a layer of fat arpeggios over the top of all your sounds and you're good to go. After all that toil and trouble that took me a solid 50 straight hours, this is what it should sound like.
I always hope it's not another one. When the sky turns black and I feel like falling down. When I don't look back and I see my soul set fire. bridge again. But there's nothing left to lose. You always see right through, but I'm still lying here trying to forget about you. I'm trying to forget about you, but I'm still lying here trying to forget about you. I'm trying to forget about you, but I'm still lying here trying to forget about you. I've been down this road before, but I'm trying to shake it. I'm trying to turn around, but my castle stands with broken walls and a king that's all but gone.